Train your mind for English. Do you want to speak English without translating every word? The secret is not only to train your mouth, you must first train your mind. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about something very important. Many people study English for years, but they still cannot speak naturally. They know grammar. They know many words. They understand English when they read, but when they want to speak, they stop. They think in their own language first. Then they translate into English. This takes time and makes speaking slow. If you want to become fluent, you must train your mind to think in English. This is the story of a young man named Amir. Amir wanted to speak English confidently. Every day, he watched English lessons and learned new vocabulary. He practiced grammar and completed many exercises. But whenever someone asked him a simple question, he became nervous. He knew the answer, but he could not speak quickly. His mind was busy translating every sentence. One afternoon, Amir visited his English teacher. The teacher smiled and asked, "Why do you stop every time you speak?" Amir replied, "I first think in my own language. Then I translate into English. By the time I finish translating, I forget what I wanted to say." The teacher nodded. "This is the problem. You are training your memory, but you are not training your mind." Amir looked surprised. "What should I do?" he asked. The teacher smiled and said, "Start thinking in English. Do not begin with long sentences. Begin with small thoughts. When you wake up, think, 'It is morning.' When you drink water, think, 'I am drinking water.' When you open a book, think, 'I am reading a book.' Use English for every small action." Amir listened carefully. The teacher continued, "Your mind learns through repetition. If you give your mind simple English every day, it will slowly stop depending on translation." The next morning, Amir decided to follow the advice. As soon as he opened his eyes, he thought, "Today is a new day." While making his bed, he thought, "My bed is clean." While brushing his teeth, he thought, "I am brushing my teeth." The sentences were short, but they were real. He repeated them naturally without pressure. Later, while eating breakfast, he looked at his cup and thought, "The tea is hot." Then he looked outside and thought, "The weather is nice today." Every simple thought became a small English lesson. That evening, Amir noticed something interesting. He was thinking in English more often than before. He still translated sometimes, but not as much. For the first time, he felt that his mind was slowly changing. Before going to bed, Amir opened his notebook and wrote one sentence. "Fluent English begins in the mind. If I train my thoughts every day, my speaking will become natural." He closed the notebook with a smile. He finally understood that learning English was not only about speaking with the mouth, it was about teaching the mind to think in English first. Chapter 2. Amir builds the habit of thinking in English every day. The next morning, Amir remembered his teacher's advice. He did not open a grammar book. He did not memorize long vocabulary lists. Instead, he started training his mind with simple English. As soon as he got out of bed, he thought, "I am awake." He opened the window and thought, "The air is fresh." While making breakfast, he thought, "I am making breakfast." Every thought was short and easy. He did not worry about perfect English. He only wanted his mind to use English naturally. As the day continued, Amir kept practicing. While walking to work, he looked at the road and thought, "The road is busy." He saw people waiting for the bus and thought, "They are waiting." He looked at the sky and thought, "The sky is blue." These small thoughts helped him stay connected with English throughout the day. He realized that every place gave him a chance to practice. After 1 week, Amir noticed a small change. He was translating less than before. Sometimes an English word came into his mind first. When he saw a chair, he thought, chair, instead of thinking in his own language. When he became thirsty, he thought, I need water. These small moments made him feel happy because his mind was beginning to accept English as a natural language. A few days later, Amir visited his teacher again. The teacher smiled and asked, How is your practice going? Amir replied, I still translate sometimes, but now I also think in English without trying. The teacher nodded with satisfaction. That is real progress. Your mind is learning a new habit. Then the teacher gave him another exercise. Every evening, spend 5 minutes looking around your room. Name everything you see in English. Then make one simple sentence about each object. Amir liked the idea. That evening, he looked at his room and said, This is my bed. The window is open. My bag is on the chair. The light is bright. The book is on the table. He repeated every sentence slowly and clearly. The practice was simple, but it helped him think faster in English. The next day, his younger brother saw him talking quietly while walking around the room. He smiled and asked, Who are you talking to? Amir laughed and replied, I am talking to myself. I am training my mind to think in English. His brother looked surprised. Does it really help? Amir nodded. Yes, the more I think in English, the easier it becomes to speak. My mind is slowly getting used to the language. His brother smiled. I will try it too. Amir encouraged him. Start with easy words and simple thoughts. Do not wait until you know everything. Your mind becomes stronger through daily practice. That night, Amir opened his notebook and wrote another lesson. My mind becomes stronger every time I think in English. Small thoughts repeated every day help me speak faster and with more confidence. He closed the notebook with a smile. He understood that fluency was not built by translating every sentence, it was built by training the mind to use English naturally, one simple thought at a time. Chapter 3. Amir stops translating and starts speaking naturally. Several weeks passed, and Amir never missed his daily practice. Every morning he trained his mind with simple English thoughts. Every evening he described the things around him in English. These small habits slowly changed the way he learned. He no longer depended on translation all the time. His mind started finding English words more quickly, and speaking became easier than before. One afternoon, Amir visited his teacher again. The teacher smiled and asked, How do you feel now when you speak English? Amir replied, I still make mistakes, but I do not stop as much as before. Sometimes the English sentence comes into my mind first. The teacher smiled proudly. That means your mind is changing. Now you must trust it. Amir looked curious. What should I do next? The teacher answered, Stop trying to make perfect sentences. Speak with the English you already know. Simple English is better than perfect English that you never speak. Amir remembered those words. The next morning, he decided to follow this advice. While preparing breakfast, he did not translate. He simply said, I am making breakfast. The tea smells good. I am ready for work. The sentences were short, but they came naturally. He noticed that he was speaking faster because he was no longer searching for perfect words. Later that day, Amir met his friend Bilal. Bilal asked, How is your English practice? Amir smiled and answered in English, It is getting better every day. I practice thinking in English, and now I speak more naturally. Bilal looked surprised. You answered very quickly. Amir laughed. I stopped translating every sentence. I just use simple English. Bilal asked, "What if you forget a word?" Amir replied, "I do not stop. I use another easy word and continue speaking. The conversation is more important than perfect grammar." Bilal nodded. "I think that is why you sound more confident." That evening, Amir realized something important. Fluency was not about knowing the biggest vocabulary, it was about using the words he already knew with confidence. Every simple conversation made his mind stronger. Every day of practice reduced his fear a little more. Before going to bed, Amir stood in front of the mirror. He spoke about his whole day without translating. He talked about his morning, his work, his lunch, and his evening. He paused less than before. His voice sounded calmer. He finally felt that English was becoming a natural part of his thinking. Then he opened his notebook and wrote another lesson. "I do not need perfect English to become fluent. I need simple English, daily practice, and the confidence to keep speaking without fear." He closed the notebook with a smile. He understood that the biggest change had happened inside his mind. Once he stopped translating every sentence and started trusting his simple English, speaking became easier, faster, and much more natural. Chapter 4. Amir uses his English mind in real conversations. Several weeks passed, and Amir continued training his mind every day. Thinking in English had become a normal habit. He no longer translated every sentence before speaking. His thoughts came more quickly, and his confidence grew with every conversation. He still made small mistakes, but he no longer let those mistakes stop him. He understood that speaking every day was more important than speaking perfectly. One afternoon, Amir visited the library. His teacher was there with a small group of English learners. The teacher smiled and said, "Today, everyone will have a short conversation in English." Some students looked nervous. Amir remembered that he had once felt the same way. The teacher asked the first student a few simple questions. Then it was Amir's turn. The teacher smiled and asked, "How was your day?" Amir answered without translating. "My day was very good. I woke up early. I read an English story in the morning. Then I went to work. In the evening, I practiced speaking English." The teacher nodded proudly. "Excellent," you answered naturally. Amir smiled because he had spoken without stopping. After the class, one of the students came to him. He asked, "How can you answer so quickly?" Amir replied, "I train my mind before I train my speaking. Every day, I think in English. I describe my daily activities, my surroundings, and my plans. Because of that, English comes to my mind more easily." The student smiled. "So you do not translate anymore?" Amir shook his head. "Not all the time. Sometimes I still do, but now I try to think directly in English. It makes speaking much faster." The student thanked him. "I will start doing that today." Amir smiled and encouraged him. Start with very simple thoughts. Look around your room and describe what you see. Talk about your morning, your meals, and your daily routine. Do this every day, and your mind will slowly become comfortable with English. On his way home, Amir felt proud of himself. A few months ago, he could not answer even simple questions without translating. Now he could have short conversations with confidence. He realized that his biggest improvement was not his vocabulary. It was the way his mind worked. That evening, Amir stood in front of the mirror and spoke about his entire day. He noticed that his sentences were smoother. He paused less than before. His thoughts flowed naturally from one sentence to the next. Every day of practice was making him a better speaker. Before going to bed, Amir opened his notebook and wrote another lesson. When I train my mind every day, real conversations become easy. Thinking in English helps me speak with confidence, and confidence grows every time I use the language. He closed the notebook with a smile. He understood that every fluent conversation begins with a trained mind. Once the mind learns to think in English, speaking becomes natural, enjoyable, and free from fear. Chapter 5. Amir inspires others by thinking in English every day. Another month passed and Amir stayed faithful to his daily routine. Every morning he thought in English. Every afternoon he used simple English during small conversations. Every evening he spent a few minutes talking about his day. He no longer practiced because someone told him to. He practiced because English had become a part of his life. His confidence grew a little more every single day. One afternoon, Amir's teacher invited him to speak to a new group of English learners. Many of them looked worried. They believed that speaking English was too difficult. Some said they always forgot words. Others said they became nervous as soon as they started speaking. The teacher smiled and said, "Amir, please tell everyone what helped you improve." Amir stood in front of the class with a smile. He said, "A few months ago, I had the same problem. I knew many English words, but I could not speak confidently. I always translated every sentence. Then my teacher told me to train my mind before training my speaking." The students listened carefully. Amir continued, "Every morning I started thinking in simple English. I looked around my room and described everything I saw. I talked about my daily routine. I spoke while eating breakfast, walking outside, and reading books. These small habits slowly changed my thinking." One student raised his hand. He asked, "Did you study for many hours every day?" Amir smiled and replied, "No, I practiced for a short time every day. The important thing was consistency, not long study hours." Another student asked, "What if I forget a word while speaking?" Amir answered, "Do not stop the conversation. Use another simple word and keep speaking. Communication is more important than using difficult vocabulary." The teacher smiled proudly. "That is excellent advice." After the class, several students came to thank Amir. One student said, "I always thought I needed perfect grammar before speaking." Amir smiled. "You do not need perfect English to start. You need the courage to speak simple English every day." The student nodded. "I will begin today." Amir replied, "Start with your thoughts. Train your mind first and your speaking will become easier." As Amir walked home, he remembered the first day of his journey. He had been afraid to answer even the simplest question. Now he was encouraging other learners with confidence. He realized that his greatest success was not only speaking English. His greatest success was helping others believe that they could do the same. That evening, Amir opened his notebook and wrote another lesson. "When I train my mind every day, I improve myself. When I share my experience, I help others improve too. Simple daily habits can change one life, and they can also inspire many more." He closed the notebook with a smile. He knew that learning English was not a race, it was a daily journey. Every small thought, every simple sentence, and every day of practice brought him one step closer to fluency while encouraging others to begin their own journey. Chapter 6. Amir achieves his goal. Several months passed, and Amir never stopped training his mind. Every day he thought in English before he spoke. Every day he used simple English during his daily activities. He no longer translated every sentence. His mind had become faster and his speaking had become smoother. The habit he started with a few simple thoughts had completely changed the way he learned English. One morning, Amir visited his teacher for the last time. The teacher smiled warmly and asked, Amir, what is the biggest lesson you have learned? Amir smiled and replied, I learned that speaking English starts in the mind. Before, I always trained my memory. Now I train my thinking. That is why speaking feels natural. The teacher nodded proudly. Exactly. Many learners only collect grammar rules and vocabulary, but real fluency comes when your mind begins to think in English. Amir thanked his teacher. You showed me the right path. Before, I waited for the perfect sentence. Now I simply speak with the English I know. The teacher smiled. And that is why you have improved so much. Never stop practicing. A trained mind becomes stronger every single day. A few days later, Amir met his friends at a small cafe. They decided to speak only in English for a while. They talked about their daily routines, their future plans, their hobbies, and the books they were reading. Amir answered every question calmly. He listened carefully and replied without long pauses. He was not searching for words anymore. His thoughts came naturally because his mind had learned to work in English. One of his friends smiled and said, Your English sounds very natural now. Amir smiled back. I am still learning, but I stopped translating every sentence. I started thinking in English every day, and that changed everything. His friend asked, So the secret is to train the mind first? Amir nodded. Yes. When your mind becomes comfortable with English, your mouth follows naturally. That evening, Amir returned home and opened the notebook that had been with him since the first day of his journey. He turned to the first page and read the sentence he had written months ago. Fluent English begins in the mind. He smiled because those simple words had become true. Then he wrote his final message. Think in English every day. Speak with simple sentences. Do not fear mistakes. Practice a little every day without stopping. A strong mind creates confident speaking, and confident speaking leads to fluency. He closed the notebook and looked around his room. He remembered the first day when he struggled to answer simple questions. He remembered translating every sentence. He remembered feeling nervous. Now everything was different. He could think in English. He could speak with confidence. He could enjoy conversations without fear. He finally understood that fluency was not a gift. It was a habit. It was built through small daily practice. It was built by training the mind first. Thank you for watching. I hope Amir's journey inspires you to begin your own English journey today. Think in English whenever you can. Speak a little every day. Stay patient, stay consistent, and never give up. One day, you will be surprised by how naturally English comes to your mind. Moral of the story: train your mind before you train your mouth. Think in simple English every day, speak without fear, and stay consistent. Small daily habits will turn your thoughts into fluent English. The end.